So how in the world do these chemicals get into our food and into our home and into our environment? Number one, the United States produces or imports 42 billion pounds of chemicals each day. Do you guys realize that all the municipalities across the country have been buying millions of tons of fluoride every year just to dump in your drinking water? They're dumping it in there. You are being medicated without your consent through your drinking water. Number two, there's an average of 200 chemicals and pollutants found in a newborn's cord blood. You know, a lot of the diseases that they're talking about are genetic in babies. They aren't genetic. They're actually environmental. Because the mother's health and the environment that that baby grows up in and the chemicals that it's exposed to in its development can cause diseases. It can damage its genes. How many people think that a disease caused by a chemical in the mother's environment is genetic? That's not the definition of genetic in science. It may damage genes and the disease may be expressed through genes, but if the damage is done by something, by definition, the disease is not caused by genes. There are 260 contaminants detected in our water supply, over half of which have no safety standards at all. That's 130 that have no safety standards at all. We have no idea what they're doing to us. We have no idea how they interact with the human body and at what exposures, if there are exposures that are safe, what levels they're safe. There are more than 1,200 chemicals that are banned in the European Union from product manufacturing. Only 9 of the 1,200, only 9 of them are banned in the U.S. from being used in products. Can anyone do the math on that? It's 1,191 products that are being used in U.S. products that are not used anywhere else in the world. Only 11% of the 10,000 chemical ingredients found in cosmetics have been assessed for health and safety by the Cosmetic Ingredient Review, which, by the way, is funded by the very industry it's regulating. How many people really like to have the safety information coming from industry-funded sources? Meaning the exact industry that is producing the stuff is regulating their safety. As a consumer, I choose not. No, I don't like that. I don't think that's safe. I don't think we'll get the best results that way. Okay? The average American household has 63 hazardous chemical products, equal to roughly 10 gallons of hazardous waste. Yes, this is the type of hazardous waste that no human being should ever come into contact with without severe physiological reactions. Okay? Out of 139 streams sampled in 30 states, 66 were found to contain disinfectants. Disinfectants that we're spraying in our home to clean things don't just go away. They are showing up everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. The vast array of antibacterial products use 275 active ingredients that are classified as pesticides. Is anyone paying attention? The vast array of antibacterial products use 275 active ingredients that are classified as pesticides. How many people are really pumped about antibacterial ingredients now? Did you realize that you were exposing yourself to all kinds of pesticides when you were using antibacterial soap? And did you realize that there is well-known research showing that antibacterial soap kills no more bugs than regular soap does? These are some sources that you can go to check out the lists and the ingredients. If you want to do some detailed research, you can go to these sources. And if you need to dispose of some waste that's in your home that's been sitting there for a while and you've just had it sitting there, these are some places that you can go and look to get rid of the hazardous waste in your home. All right. Last exposure here. Electromagnetic radiation. There is electricity all around us. I'm not advocating that you go home and rip the electricity out of your home. However, you need to be aware of where the exposure is coming from, and you need to be able to reduce your exposure. Number one, artificial lighting. Does everyone realize that these really fancy energy saver light bulbs are made with mercury, and that they're off-gassing mercury into your home? I believe they just made a mandatory. I don't think they can make regular light bulbs anymore. You might want to go out and get about as many regular light bulbs as you possibly can. That's what we've done, anyways. Electronics, TVs, radios, cell phones, computers, every single one of these things that plugs into a wall at any time generates and emits its own electromagnetic radiation. Microwaves, medical imaging. Has anyone heard any of the statistics on how exposed we are as an American population, how addicted we are to imaging, and how risky it is to be imaged over and over and over again? One of the things that you'll want to look into when it comes to diagnostics are things that you can use to detect what's going on in your body that do not expose you to radiation. A perfect example would be thermography as an imaging, which is like an infrared image. Anyone ever seen infrared used? We've used it for a long time in our military. You ever seen the view from the helicopter and you can see little red dots running around and that's what they're shooting at? Because a human being, remember our energy field? How can they pick up a human being hundreds of feet in the air? Now it's starting to make sense. We emit energy way further than we've ever thought. And there is imaging that can be used to pick up hot spots in cells where there's damage or inflammation. Now, if you go out and you Google thermography, I promise you there will be all kinds of quackery stuff telling you how bogus thermography is. Guess who says it's bogus? All of the radiography doctors. Everyone who makes their living on x-rays and images have done extensive research showing that thermography is bogus. Yet we use the technology every day in different areas where we want it to be used. Look into thermography, women. I'm encouraging you to do that. Go look into it as an alternative to imaging and being exposed to radiation every year. Did anyone think it was interesting? Did you hear about the changes in breast mammography? There was a huge debate over this. I think it was just earlier this year, where the World Cancer Panel came out and said, we're imaging too much. We need to go to every other year, not every year. Guess who argued about that? Every U.S. organization that supports it. These are some of the finest cancer doctors in the world who came out and said, hey, we're imaging too much. The problem is the industries that depend on imaging that much, apparently the information's not good enough for them. Other forms of destructive frequency. Now this is in your emotional, this is in this instinct area. Fear. one of the most destructive forms of energy known to man. Fear. When you make decisions in fear, you are outside of your sweet spot, to put it lightly. When you are fearful, you are not operating in your best mode. Negative emotions, anger, frustration, stress and worry. Anyone ever heard of stress being hard on your body? All kinds of research coming out on that. These are some of the most destructive forms of energy in the entire world, and they're created in your mind. So building our defenses, okay? Now that we know what's out there, let's talk about building it back up. How can we get our environment flipped around? So using constructive or complementary energy, it can help to realign your body's energy and help to resolve disease processes, which are mainly due to misalignment of the body's energy in general. Okay? Complementary energy will help to assist the body in staying healthy and or healing. It'll also help to cancel out negative frequencies in the home and your environment. Again, frequency are wavelengths, it's energy. We all agreed everything is energy at the beginning of this, so I know this is it might be getting kind of a little bit left field for you, but stick with me. So constructive energy will produce positive effects, harmony, and synergy. I guess the most basic form of constructive energy in your environment right now that you'll really connect with is whole food nutrition. Does that make sense? Everything's made of atoms, so the grass-fed meat that you're eating now is made of atoms. That is constructive energy. The vitamins, the compounds, the proteins, the essential fatty acids, all of those things are constructive. That means when your body comes into contact with them, it synthesizes them and it builds it up instead of breaks it down. Okay? So some examples: herbs, essential nutrients, essential oils, botanicals. Pretty much a lot of the things that are from the earth. Now I know that there are poisons that come from the earth. I know that, you can eat certain types of mushrooms on your toast in seconds. I know that there are things like poison ivy that have reactions with the body. But whole compounds are the types of things that most of the time are very complementary. Energy medicine, chiropractic, alignment of the body's energy, acupuncture, reflexology. These are things that are very complementary to your body's physiology. Homeopathy remedies. Does anyone realize that you actually cure poison ivy with a small amount of the actual frequency of poison ivy? Like cures like, which is what homeopathy is based on, which you'll learn in 2 more lessons. It is a wonderful, wonderful science that you'll want to get much more familiar with. Love, the most powerful complementary frequency on the planet and in the heavens. Love. You can generate the most powerful complementary frequency in the universe at will. Love heals an awful lot of things. Science proves it. Obviously, we have anecdotal evidence around us. Positive thoughts, encouraging words. You need to think right now about your thought patterns on a day-to-day basis. You need to evaluate them very quickly. Do you tend to skew negative a lot? Do you tend to always look at the bad in a situation? Or do you wonder, how could this be good? If you get a flat tire, perhaps you were headed to a situation that could have turned out really bad, and the flat tire stopped you from getting there. It's no more crazy than saying you got the flat tire because of bad luck. I'd rather skew the other way. Believe and have faith that what is going on in your life, everything can have a positive outcome. And if you stay in that positive mindset constantly, you're emitting positive frequency all day long. And the people around you will feel it. You felt it from people around you who you admire, who are positive people. And when you get around them, it's like you get charged up. They inspire you. Strive to become more positive. Think about the thoughts that you have and realize that if you are in a negative thought pattern on a day-to-day basis, you are constantly emitting negative, destructive frequencies. And you can feel when you don't jive with someone or when their energy is off. Be that positive person. And then positive stress, like exercise, for example, would be eustress, not distress. It's a positive stress. It's a complementary stress.